All right, so I just finished up a roughly $5,000 profit day, which is one of my biggest since I began trading with a small account exactly 1 month ago from today. So still getting used to the proper position sizing and risk management, but when I can make 5% on my money in a day, um, that's a pretty good day. I didn't time things perfectly. I looked at indicators, I looked at potential plays and I did the best I could. I'll go over trades in a second, but I am overwhelmed right now with questions regarding this guy, Connor Brueggemann, and he is one of the newest newsletters to list on Profitly. His newsletter is called Investors Corner, and this is a roughly 18-year-old kid who has taken $10,000 and turned it into $330,000 in a year. Very controversial. A lot of people are like, why are you bringing this kid up? Well, for several reasons. He kind of reminds me of myself when I made my $100,000 in high school, but he's actually a lot more mature. He's not dealing with the same kind of bubble market that I was dealing with, and he's learned a lot of good, hard lessons early. He's had some losses. Most importantly, he shows every trade, and he makes some really incredible video lessons just talking about all of his trades and his rules of success. And even though he's made roughly a third of a million, he only trades with $30,000. And I think he made what, 12 or 13,000 for the month of February on, again, just a $30,000 account. So I don't care how old you are, that is impressive and that is worth learning from. There's a lot of bias out there where it's like, oh, this person is too young to be a guru and stuff like that. Anybody who has experience and lessons that they are willing to share from good trades, from bad trades, should be able to teach others. And, Connor, very transparent, very honest, kind of a cool little strategy. I don't necessarily use that same kind of strategy, but he trades off an iPhone during class. So if you want to learn how to trade part-time, if you have class or work and you want to trade off, I think he uses just two apps on his phone. It's worth learning. And, it's kind of a shame that so many people are anti-education and they think that, you need to be a certain age. I really am not a fan of discrimination. Connor's father, for example, got fired from his job when Connor was written about in TheVerge.com, and the article went viral, and not many people have that last name. So his dad actually got fired from his job just because his son was successful. And some people I'm seeing comments, oh, I didn't have $9,700 when I was that age. Well, guess what? He worked for it, okay? He was a busboy at a restaurant. He worked for tips. So he was not given all of this money. He works his butt off, and we're proud to list his newsletter. And I really think a lot of people are going to learn from both his good and bad trades. As long as you're transparent, it's really tough not to learn something. Speaking of transparency, let's talk about my trades today. So my first two trades were overnight positions. I was short GENE and I was long UNXL. And I basically exited flat on GENE. Here is a 7-day chart. I thought support was right here at 613-ish. On Friday it cracked below, but then it came up and then into the close it was down in the 580. So it cracked this multi-day support at 613 and 620 and even 6. And I thought that today was going to be a panic day. No dice early on from the get-go. Let me show after hours because I actually covered after hours. It started spiking. It was down to the 540s, so I coulda, woulda, shoulda made like 40 cents a share if I had really covered, right at 7:55 a.m. Eastern. I'm on West Coast. I wasn't even awake. I saw it spiking, and that is scary. Anytime a stock goes from 540 to 630, and I was short, 5,000 shares. So I covered into this dropping here in the 580s, basically break even. It spiked a little at the open. It came down a little. I guess if I held it all day, I could have made an extra 5 cents a share. But when a stock doesn't do what I want, I get out. I don't risk it. UNXL actually did better. This was my overnight long because they had good earnings or a good reaction to earnings. And, it was uptrending here when I bought it in the 680s on Friday. Let me just show you the breakout. A lot of people are confused by this because, this company has no revenues. And the chart overall, there's a lot of resistance at 9. I was looking at this. This bounce attempt right here in February was 653. Also the high here at 650. So 650 is my breakout level. On Friday, it came down. Look at where it stopped right here, 653. So I was buying in the 680s. If I had timed it perfectly, I probably would have been in the 660s, just above support. But we got a nice little morning spike to sell into, and I actually did take profits. I didn't catch the 730s, but I did sell in the 7s, and that was a pretty good sale from my 680. So I made like 30 cents a share. It didn't do anything. The only time to make money really was to sell in pre-market. So, you know, didn't work out exactly as I wanted, but if you can make 30 cents a share overnight, you take it. Then I had some really good trades right here, buying the breakout in RESN and shorting the breakdown in EYES. And on both of them, I did not make as much as I should have. But, you know, add all this stuff up, it adds up to roughly 5,000. Trading with a small account. RESN was interesting because RESN is a trade. I don't really usually deal with this kind of a pattern when, you know, it's basically falling off a cliff. It was in the 18s, and then they had their earnings conference call, and their earnings press release basically said, you know, our big partner, we're not exactly 100% if we're going to get the contract. And the big partner they're talking about is Skyworks. That's the reason why this stock ran up all the way from my first buy alert, which was right here at $7 a share. On this day, there was a Seeking Alpha article, and it talked about, you know, the potential of this company's technology with their partnership with Skyworks. So I bought this because of the Seeking Alpha article. I had no idea that it was, you know, this article was going to nearly triple the stock over several months. I sold way too soon, but I'm glad that a lot of people, especially my long-term newsletter, banked. Now it's crashing because you have negative comments, but, you know, it's already down from 20 bucks a share down to 10 bucks a share. So it's down 50%. And look at what the former high was right here. The former high going back here was 998. Where was support? Right here, 998. Support right here, 998. So it has support at roughly 10-ish on the way down and on the way up. So I was looking to buy it at 10. This morning I saw it just tank, you know, into the 980s, and I'm like, you know what? 998 was support. It should have held that, and it didn't. But then a funny thing happened in midday, and then it did start holding it. And let's look right here. So this had bad news. Normally I don't like buying bad news, but it had a really nice run up right in here. And even after the run up, it came down. And what was the support? 10.02. So using this as kind of a guide, I can say, okay, 10 is probably going to be long-term support. Also, okay, maybe it's a technical bounce kind of play. But even better, I got this tweet. I appreciate this, Ben. Thank you. Seeking Alpha likes to tease when they have articles coming out, and this is a tweet from Ben. He said, tomorrow should be interesting. Tomorrow I'll bet Timothy Sykes and his followers take this up. And anybody can give me tips. I get more tips than anybody. Usually I ignore them. But this guy, Ben, knows my strategy. He knows that, you know, I'm buying companies that have Seeking Alpha articles. I tried to buy this. RESN had a Seeking Alpha article a few weeks ago, and I only made a few cents a share because I was scared of it, but it spiked like $2 a share on the Seeking Alpha article. The Seeking Alpha article is what launched this initially, so I will very often buy this stock when there is a Seeking Alpha article. And the interesting thing about this Seeking Alpha article, so this is under embargo. So Seeking Alpha has this pro, and I was thinking about doing pro, but, you know, Seeking Alpha is not an exact science like it was in early 2014. You know, back then, every article would spike the stocks huge. Now it's kind of like 50-50. So I'm not going to pay for, you know, a Seeking Alpha Pro subscription because, frankly, it's just not worth it. I've heard it's several thousands of dollars. And this is the cool thing. Seeking Alpha shows the titles to their articles. Even though I can't read the article, I can read resonant misunderstanding and overreaction create compelling buying. So I know that this guy is basically saying, you know, this is going to be, you know, a buying opportunity. And so this article should come out tomorrow. And, you know, I think that article is what caused this run up here to put it over 10. And I don't care, you know, what the article says. I probably won't even be holding through the article tomorrow. I care about, you know, the stock rising in anticipation of the article. Maybe I'll hold some like right when the article comes out just to see if anyone pays attention. But a lot of the money in Seeking Alpha these days is anticipating the influence of an upcoming article. So I was buying it in here. If I was a better trader and watching this more closely, I would have bought it on this little midday breakout here at 10:30ish, where that was actually also where it was going green on the day. So the stock is going green on the day. It now has tons of support at 10, and there's a Seeking Alpha article coming out tomorrow. And I was buying in the 1040s. It went all the way up to 1120. I didn't catch this entire run up. I was in the 1040s, out in the 1080s and 1090s. So made nearly 50 cents a share, near best case scenario for me. And then I also bought some overnight just because it held here late day at 1060, 1070. And if you look at the bounce attempt right here, the bounce high was 1070. So it held 10 support, and now it has support at 1070. So I'm in the 1080s, and the whole goal is just to sell into further spiking in the 11s. But this is a very well executed trade, and I made some pretty good money. I made 2,700. Then EYES. This is probably my best trade of the day. Short-wise, and my worst cover of the day. I made a lousy 2%. I was all excited because EYES is, been squeezing shorts lately. It's very choppy. I'm glad I didn't try and catch it on the morning drop. But in the afternoon, when it was going, it looked like it was going green to red on the day. It would have had to take out 1620. So normally I would say, okay, wait until 1620 gets taken out. Wait until it's definitely red on the day. Otherwise, you risk getting squeezed if it doesn't go red on the day. The problem with that is that this stock is under the SSR, short sale restriction. So if it's tanking and going red on the day and everyone's trying to short, no one's getting executed because you need to execute into an uptick. So I was a little early here, shorting this at like 1628, 1627, expecting 1620 to crack, and it did. But only for a little bit, and I got faked out by this little bounce I covered here in the 1590s just a few minutes before. I could have made, would have, should have made $1 a share. And this happens often where I cover too soon, frankly, because I'm not comfortable with this kind of a stock. This is a higher price stock. A lot of people, including Tim Grittani, who lost nearly like $50,000 on his birthday on Friday. When the best traders are getting confused by a stock like this one in GENE, I take profits too quick. And so I made nearly $1,000 on my short. Coulda, woulda, shoulda made $3,000. Not the end of the world, not the biggest mistake dollar-wise, just somewhat of a mistake where, the stock is going red on the day. I was right. Probably should have given it a little more patience. But, again, it's a tricky stock. I made back some of my Friday losses. That makes me feel good. And congrats to everybody who shorted this, before me. I'm seeing a lot of more students who are being like, now I feel better because Tim just, entered the same trade that I did a few minutes ago, or was thinking about doing it. That's the whole goal, okay? I don't want you guys following alerts. If you see, I actually type out explanations. And some people are like, Tim, why do you type out these explanations? Why don't you just give, your alert, like short EYES right here? Because the difference between me and other chat rooms and newsletters is that the alert is not meant to be followed. It's not meant to be like some kind of breaking news. It's all educational, okay? I trade, yes, in order to profit, because now I'm up, I guess, nearly $40,000 in 2015, trading a small account, which is cool. But more important than just the profits, you get to see how I'm doing it. How do you make $40,000 in a few weeks? Even when I'm screwing up left and right. Well, it's trade by trade, good setup by good setup, trades like this, where, yes, I made 2%, I could have made 6%. Either way, I'm making a lot more money based on a predictable pattern. That is what I teach. That is what I want you to understand. So you might miss like the actual breakdown by the time you get the alert, but I have to show you the commentary. And if you watch the DVDs and enough video lessons, and you trading challenge students are studying our webinars, especially Tim Grittani's nearly 24 webinars now exclusively for you trading challenge students. It's like 30 hours of the single best trader of the past decade. I would venture to say, anybody who shows all of his trades, Tim Grittani, no one can match him percent-wise. You need to be prepared for this. Like when the stock was about to go red on the day, you need to say, okay, Tim likes to short a first down day, especially in the afternoon, especially on an overextended stock like this that could go red. And, you also have to adapt a little bit because of the annoying SSR where you have to short a little bit early Otherwise, if it just starts dropping, you can't get your short executed because it's just a crash. So I was really good at anticipating. Probably should have given it a little more time on the short, but this was a good trade. My RESN recognizing the Seeking Alpha article coming out. Thank you to that guy Ben who tweeted me. But I recognize where the support was, that at $10 a share and now at $10.70. So you look for key chart setups like this and you play by the odds. Big props to those of you who held ZAGG. Remember, I had this earnings winner on a dip. I was buying it in here at the 750s. It's now up nearly $1 a share a day later. I did not have the patience to hold, but this was the single best time to buy this on the dip here in the 750s, just above support right here at 747. So I'm not buying at random times. Everything I do is supported by a catalyst and by chart patterns, and that leads to good trades and good success. Even when I sell ZAG too early, or I cover EYES too early, or I play RESN pretty well. This is how you make thousands of dollars a day. You play the stocks that are in play, you take advantage of predictable setups, and the only question is, are you guys prepared? Do you have the right broker? Do you know the patterns? Do you know about the SSR? And this is why I love teaching. So I'm going to post this. Congrats to everybody learning or earning, or ideally both. Thank you.